Here we go, here come the lights for the first sprint of the year. And we are racing in Shanghai. Good reaction time for Lewis Hamilton, immediately drawing alongside Lando Norris, looking to take the lead into turn one. Lewis Hamilton braves it out. We go through this long corner. Who's going to get there? Wheel to wheel, the two Brits. Off the road goes the pole sitter. Lewis Hamilton takes the lead. Then it's Fernando Alonso applying the pressure. Lando went brave, but Lando paid the price and falls down the order. Real disappointment for him. He's down to 7th as we battle it up. Up to 3rd goes Max Verstappen. Alonso versus Hamilton at the front of the field. It all went wrong for our pole sitter.
Yeah, he was a little bit too brave, fighting what he'd already lost probably off the line through turn one, and the corner just goes on and on and on, and then eventually Norris ran out of room and he is shuffled right down the pack behind Perez, behind both Ferraris, but that's a nice move around the outside of Leclerc.
Still being brave, still looking for a response, but Leclerc hangs on and Norris's heart will sink. The chance of maiden victory in Formula One fades in the opening corner. It all came about as a result of Hamilton getting the better launch, and Hamilton is trying to break clear. Hamilton versus Alonso versus Verstappen. Champions at the head of the field, our top 3 on lap number 1.
Hamilton's launch and drive in that first phase was just so good, and he's immediately ahead of Lando as they turn in. And at this point it's desperation, to be honest, from Norris to try and hang it out. He'll end up the inside for 3, but that was never going to work. Hamilton would have had to been far too kind to him to allow him to sneak all the way around the outside. You're on pole, you've got a chance to win a race in Formula One, but you've probably just lost it on the side. At least you've lost the lead here. Then you hang on. It's just the slippery track, really. It was more than just being forced off, it was the slippery track.
Nice move for George Russell, cleanly done. He takes his place inside the top 10. A reminder though, only the top 8 score in this one. It is lap 4 of 19. We have such an enthralling race out front. Here is Max Verstappen in the slipstream with DRS, trying to take the place away. Fernando Alonso can't do anything about it, won't do anything about it. No defensive shape thrown, and Verstappen improves to 2nd place.
Yeah, so Verstappen, car behind, 41-1. Leave me to it, man, I can see him.
This is a driver who wants to take the checkered flag against his old rival. Hamilton saying to Pete Bonington, I know who it is. I can see that he's getting closer and closer and closer still. Can Hamilton offer the defence? Alonso wasn't able to. Hamilton tries to cut off Max Verstappen, who dives to the inside. And Verstappen takes the lead at the hairpin. He's gone from 4th on the grid to P1 by lap 9. And there is nothing either Alonso or Hamilton could do to interrupt the Verstappen Express. And this was the lock-up that we had the lap before that allowed Verstappen to get within DRS range.
Yeah, that was the big one that just dropped him into the clutches of the Dutchman.
This is further back in the field. This is Pierre Gasly. Gasly on the front foot, able to take the place away. He got past Hulkenberg. This is the best opportunity Sainz has had. Alonso knows it, hugs the inside line, and he stays ahead for the moment. Traction race, does it give an opportunity to the Ferrari? Sainz comes alongside, squeezes his hero. The two Spaniards wheel to wheel, and Alonso keeps it in. They nearly bang wheels at huge speed, and finally, Sainz gets ahead. Alonso laid on the brakes though. They might invite Perez to get by both of them, and the defence from Alonso sends Perez past the pair.
Alonso's going to get DRS on the back straight, but Sainz now down the inside.
And Sainz takes the place away. Perez up to 3rd, Sainz up to 4th. Alonso will fade down. All of that racecraft coming undone. That late lunge not working for him into turn number 9. And it's Perez in 3rd, Sainz in 4th. And now we go on board with the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, who's going to try and take the place away. His teammate knows he needs to defend, and once again Charles Leclerc is on the outside line, and the two Ferraris are millimetres apart. Avoiding action has to be taken from the man from Monaco, and Fernando Alonso set that battle alight. Finally, Sainz thought he got by. Alonso with the re-lunge to the inside, and Perez says thanks very much as Norris moves up to 6th and Alonso comes back to the pits. Now it's Leclerc versus Sainz.
I'm surprised. Why is Alonso pitting?
Whoa, look at that! All over the curb and past. Excellent stuff, Charles Leclerc. It's a puncher for Fernando Alonso. It's a bold move for the Monegasque driver to take fourth.
This is where it all started. Alonso just gave Sainz enough room, but didn't get the traction coming out of the corner. They're side by side. Looked like Sainz had the move done coming into turn 7 here, but Alonso did not give it up, fought it the whole way. Was there contact? I don't think so, but it was so close. And then you thought, this is now done, and this is a big lunge. That's is a little bit too much, that one from Fernando, I think.
Contact between the Aston and the Ferrari. Perez says, thank you, appreciate that, up to third I go. We're at turn 16, and wheel banging once again as the Spaniard tried to stay ahead. He's about to see the checkered flag first once again. Max Verstappen rounds the final corner for the last time in the sprint. Max Verstappen wins the opening sprint of the year. And he takes that checkered flag first to the acclaim of the crowd and his team. Lewis Hamilton, only 10 points on the board all season long. You can add 7 to that tally because he's second across the line to the crowd's delight, and Perez takes advantage of the overtaking brawl to take P3. It was Leclerc, then it was Sainz, Norris, and Piastri just keeps Russell at bay. Russell, the last of the point scorers, having climbed positions through the field. Max Verstappen taking the checkered flag first once again, with Lewis Hamilton in second and Sergio Perez in third position. The man who is chasing a 5th Grand Prix pole position in a row, denied it yesterday in the wet, in the dry today. He takes the cheers of the crowd who are enjoying seeing Formula One back in Shanghai. Green flag at the back. Here come the 5 red lights. The sprint race is underway, and Max Verstappen feels the need to chop across Charles Leclerc, who is going bold to turn 1 but can't get ahead, and that squeeze is going to give an opportunity to Perez, who gets shuffled out. A spin for the McLaren heading backwards there. Down the order, I think it was Lando Norris who had a really tough moment. It was Lando Norris who got hit at the start. It's Max Verstappen who had to put the chop across Charles Leclerc, who stayed in that place, and then it's Daniel Ricciardo up to third place. Perez got on that outside line at turn 2, got shuffled back, but the dramatic moment, Lando Norris, who looked so quick yesterday, couldn't take advantage in SQ3 and has contact on the opening lap of the sprint. We go back to the start of the sprint then, and it was a good launch off the line for Charles Leclerc. Verstappen had to respond.
Yeah, you see that as well. The Ferrari and the V car both attacking Sergio Perez, but let's see on the outside, it was contact, 3-car pileup, and then there's just Fernando's left front getting into the right rear of Lando Norris, spinning him around.
Yeah, I think what's happened is Lance Stroll has got up the inside, or is it Fernando actually has got up the inside of Lance and then pushed Lance out into the McLaren.
Someone comes up the inside, it's the Mercedes.
It's Hamilton.
Whoa, Hamilton arrived like a bull.
So Mercedes into Aston Martin, and round goes Lando Norris out of the sprint. And there is the damage for Lance Stroll's car. The stewards have said there's no further action with the turn 1 incident, so that is a quick decision from race control. Max Verstappen has got the jump. That is perfectly timed for the World Championship leader, looking to extend his advantage now. And we move on to lap number 4 of 19. The green flag flies around the Miami International Autodrome, and it's Verstappen, Leclerc, then Ricciardo, the top 3. George Russell trying to get back one of those 3 places that he lost from his starting position. This is visor cam for the Australian driver, and that is Sergio Perez taking third position away from Daniel Ricciardo. One driver occupying that seat, the other one who would dearly like to be there, but Perez makes the clean move on the first lap we had with DRS enabled. Daniel Ricciardo is bobbing in and out of DRS. If he loses it, he's going to be under pressure for 4th position, but it's Hamilton trying to improve now. He had an incident at turn 1 at the start of this race. He's got DRS at the moment, but he's up against a very famous defensive driver in Kevin Magnussen, who's always going to get the left elbow out and the right elbow out and make his house as wide as possible. And this is through 14 and 15, and that's a novel way to take the chicane.
Just gained an advantage, skip the chicane.
Now that could be strategic from Kevin, because it leads on to this long straight where just gives him an extra few meters for the DRS. A lot closer this time. Magnussen ahead. He's getting sucked into the slipstream. And this looks like the pass will be completed. That said, this is Kevin Magnussen.
You knew what was coming. Back down the inside and hanging on to the place. They will go wheel to wheel. They will go side by side. We told you he'd get the elbows out, and he did so. Still, Magnussen stays ahead. Magnussen, always the last of the late breakers, and he still held on to 8th.
Oh, yeah, just drove into me. Copy, yeah, we got that on video.
It's been great entertainment on track, but race control take a dim view of cutting the chicane, and he's got a 10-second penalty. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz trying to get inventive around the outside, and Daniel Ricciardo invites him to take a look at the curb. Let's see if we get a move further back. Hamilton this time trying the outside line. Going to the inside will be Kevin Magnussen. They both run off the road. Is there a chance for Yuki Tsunoda? Tsunoda's going to be in that mix. There he is! And the Japanese driver trying to go all the way around the outside. And Tsunoda fights past Hamilton, who will be raging at that. Well, with a 10-second penalty in a sprint, you know your race is done anyway. And so Magnussen, I think, is thinking of the team, wants a new contract for next year.
Push yourself a track.
And Yuki Tsunoda in the bright livery says thank you very much, gets himself into what is 9th on the road. So Tsunoda in 8th place, then Hamilton in 9th, Magnussen running 10th on the road now with that penalty to be applied. Carlos Sainz has one straight left. Hamilton has just improved past Yuki Tsunoda to take the final point on the last lap.
Yeah, as Carlos was getting himself into position, so was Piastri.
Right, here we go across the line with Max Verstappen, who wins once again in Formula One. Charles Leclerc will come home in 2nd place. It's Perez in 3rd. And how close is it going to be in the battle for 4th place across the line? It's been a defiant drive for Daniel Ricciardo, who scores major points for VCarb, takes 4th place for their best result in any race format this year. Sainz was 5th, then it was Piastri. It's Hülkenberg in 7th place, more points for him, and Hamilton did get by on the last lap to complete the point scorers. And this is how Lewis Hamilton made the move at the end. He lost this place, and that is a bold way to get on the brakes at turn 11. That's where he lost the place to Yuki Tsunoda, and he retakes it as well. But Hamilton's been issued with a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Another victory for Max Verstappen, collecting them for fun in the last few years of Formula One. Charles Leclerc in 2nd place, Sergio Perez completing the top 3. The main story, Daniel Ricciardo with an upturn in form in his first points of the year in 4th. He held off Sainz and Piastri. Good points for Haas, good points for Hülkenberg. That's been the story so far this year. Last point, Yuki Tsunoda after that penalty for Hamilton. Here we go, the 3rd sprint of the year begins when the 5 red lights go out. And we are racing and sprinting to turn number 1. Great getaway for Max Verstappen, who maintains the advantage at the front. It was a good launch off the line for Oscar Piastri, but he couldn't take 2nd place away from Lando Norris. But the 2 McLarens are immediately going wheel to wheel. We climb the hill, up the 60 metres we go. Side by side, the 2 McLarens go. George Russell is trying to hang on to 4th place, but Lando Norris does enough to keep his Australian teammate behind, and Max Verstappen tries to build a gap. He's got the lead out front. Still we go though, Ferrari versus Mercedes in the background. Still the McLarens fight over 2nd place. How brave is Carlos Sainz feeling around the outside? Can he get ahead of George Russell? That is a mega way to take 4th place.
And it was important for Norris to keep Piastri behind. Generally, he's been the quicker McLaren in race trim. He was quicker yesterday, and he's kept that track position.
This is Lance Stroll versus Esteban Ocon, and Stroll finds himself in 10th position, the top 8 scoring points.
I think that Lando at the moment, he's looking the tidier, and you can see how he's getting sucked onto the back of that Red Bull. Max had to go a little bit defensive in the braking zone, so Lando is there. You can see being backed up into his teammate Piastri. This is all going to get a bit tasty.
This is going to be a big opportunity for Lando Norris, who will be thinking about that inside line. Max Verstappen knows it. He took the defensive move, he peeled back to the racing line, and he kept hold of the lead, but the 2 McLarens are on the charge.
Max crucially looks like he just gets that little kick of acceleration, so there won't be an opportunity for Lando unless it's super brave and late up into turn one.
He's going for it! So late on the brakes, Lando Norris dives to the inside and takes the lead. He was impatient, he wanted the move, and he's got the advantage for the moment, but Max Verstappen is trying to reply, and he will go ultra late on the brakes as well. The top two brawl amongst themselves, and Oscar Piastri says thank you very much. How brave is he feeling, trying to go around the outside of his teammate to take second place with a move and a half.
I'll pull you from the ceiling, but that was brilliant stuff. And as I was teeing it up to say he's not going to have a lunch, he did exactly that.
That is brave and brilliant from Norris. Gets his stop, Verstappen sees him coming, gets the cutback. But then the next send on this corner is equally magical. No DRS for Verstappen. Norris is just extending slightly on the straight, and boom, straight on the inside.
Really beautiful driving and racing from the top three on this track right now.
If you're the man in third place at that time, you're just loving it. They're side by side, just losing speed, losing time, and you could pull off a move like this as well.
Max Verstappen had a really good couple of corners out of 4 through the infield and across the line. He got the gap up to 0.8 of a second. Still we go side by side throughout the field. This is Carlos Sainz trying to keep both Russell and Hamilton behind. A brave move for Sainz earlier in the Grand Prix, and Russell wants the place back. He's got DRS and he will get the place back on the brakes for 4th position. There is 0.6 of a second for the lead of the sprint. Great entertainment around this 2.6 mile circuit. Daniel Ricciardo not in the part of the competitive order that he would want to be. The car ahead is Logan Sargent in the Williams, and the driver from Perth in Australia going the long way round and improving his position. This is for P16. This is going to be Aston Martin versus Haas. This is going to be Hulkenberg taking 14th place.
Big lock-up as he oversent the car there, but let's see if he had to defend at all. Looks like he didn't have to.
It's a bit miserable for Alonso, isn't it? Running 5 places now behind his teammate.
Has Lando Norris left it for a last lap attack? We've seen last lap Lando around this circuit before when he claimed his maiden podium here in Formula One. Are we going to get another late show for the man who will be wanting to take at least second place home after this one? We've got Grand Prix qualifying still to come today. What sort of exit is it? Not ideal for Lando Norris. And how much will he risk if you consider that he's racing his teammate?
Yeah, he certainly lined himself up with a big break into 3, but he just had to open the steering, went a bit deeper, a bit wider than he would have liked, and barring a mistake from Oscar, it's all over. This will be the finishing position.
Well, out front, these two have played a brilliant part. It was a 1-2-3 punch out front. A late lunge from Lando Norris gave him the lead. Max responded at turn number 4, and the story continues here in Austria for Red Bull and Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen wins the sprint once again. He beats the 2 McLarens home, but it's Oscar Piastri in second place, and Lando Norris provided great overtaking. He risked first place. He ended up being 3rd, but they provided a memorable lap around the circuit. It's Red Bull celebrating at their home venue once again. Verstappen, Piastri and Norris, the top 3. Verstappen, once again, will be celebrating being first at the flag around this circuit. George Russell was 4th, having lost that place to Carlos Sainz at one stage of the Grand Prix. And then Sainz did well to stay ahead of Hamilton. The Mercedes clearly kinder on its tyres. The last of the point scorers, Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. And Formula One is sprinting to turn number 1. George Russell with not the fastest launch off the line. Max Verstappen goes defensive, didn't really need to. And he maintains the lead into turn number 1. Lando Norris trying to pinch ahead of all of them. Lando Norris will get up to second place if he can go wheel to wheel and beat George Russell to the apex. How brave is he feeling? There's the answer. Lando Norris on the attack and he's up to second. Max Verstappen leads. George Russell is down to 3rd, and then the Ferraris are scrapping with Charles Leclerc down a place. Sainz maintaining 5th, and the there's cars all over the road there as we see the Ferraris try to put pressure on George Russell. Verstappen got the launch that he needed.
What a brilliant start, though, from Lando Norris. Just aggressive on the start, making up for that small mistake in qualifying right off the bat as we see a big defensive move now from the Haas under pressure from the V-car.
And that's Yuki Tsunoda getting racy. The Haas is off the road. And they apply the power now, going up through the gears. Lewis Hamilton gained a place. Kevin Magnussen went up a place. Hulkenberg got a poor getaway. He's down to 9th and out of the points as we see the Ferrari planning a late lunge, a later lunge still, and that is a fine way to take the pass if he can keep it on the road. George Russell has just enough momentum, but Charles Leclerc doesn't want to give it up. And this is the joy of these corners because they can go side by side, corner after corner, with Russell hanging on to 3rd position just at the moment. George Russell did not get the best reaction, but there was a defensive move there from Max Verstappen. Watch the papaya McLaren of Lando Norris.
Yeah, inside of a 3-wide situation there with the Ferraris, but Russell just very slow off the corner. Sainz on the outside along or behind him was just balked. He had a very good momentum, probably could have gotten around Leclerc right then and there had it not been for the Mercedes just getting a slow launch off of the corner in turn 1. It wasn't an aggressive move from Norris by any stretch. If anything, Leclerc was pushing his teammate out a bit. It made it nice and easy, gave him lots of room, held it on the outside there of turn 2, and then it was advantage Lando into the S's section.
Late lunge and position change for Carlos Sainz. We're getting so much entertainment today, but it doesn't stick. Charles Leclerc retakes a place, back up to 4th. Now let's go on board with Sergio Perez, and this is going to be on lap number 2. That was so close between Sergio Perez and contact. We did see last year, Hinch, that when it got to the end of the season, it got more and more aggressive, and it's happening again. Sainz and Leclerc putting on a show. Sainz got to the apex first, but again the up and under works for Charles Leclerc. Look at George Russell. He had set the first, and once again, Sainz finds himself trying to be slow on the apex, trying to force his teammate off the road. Is that the moment for Carlos Sainz to get through? They will increase their speed, and this time Sainz will get ahead. Carlos Sainz is up to 4th. It's a new front wing on the McLaren, and it's getting close once again. There's no chance to go the long way round there because you'll be elbowed off the road. George Russell knows it. He will be shown off the road as predicted, and he's having to wait. He's putting the pressure on Lando Norris in an enormous way, and that's what happens if you follow at speed. Fernando Alonso having to get out of it, racing Liam Lawson into turn 12, but able to make the pass.
Man, the Alpha Tauri is such an idiot.
Welcome to Formula One, Liam Lawson.
Oh, it'll cost him another spot there to the Alpine. That's Esteban Ocon that got around both of them eventually. That's just it. You've got to be so clever. There. That's how he gets around Lawson as well. Nice little exchange in that section for Esteban Ocon. As we see the Ferrari making a deep lunge into 15.
Once again, Carlos Sainz is able to release the brake in a way at turn 15 that gives himself a chance to power through. Can Norris get the gap down under a second?
Front left is toast.
Told you he's complaining about the front left. One Ferrari got by a lap ago. There's the second one. Charles Leclerc takes 4th place. This was one Ferrari getting past George Russell at turn 15. Russell trying to hang on to it. This one was Sainz.
Awesome move. Let's go.
And then one lap later, the second Ferrari able to do exactly the same thing.
Red Bull on V-carb.
And it's Perez to the inside of Yuki Tsunoda, able to force his way by. Tsunoda trying to come back. These two scrapping on track, scrapping off track. We still don't know who's going to be in what car, and turn 15 again is providing the action. And then it's jump on the power. Who's got the traction? Perez is going to take the place. Tsunoda wants to keep his foot in, but he's close to the Mexican driver ahead. Very close if you consider the speed that they're going at through turn 19. Verstappen has checked out, but is there an opportunity for Sainz there? Thought about it, but he's conjured the lock-up from Lando Norris, and he's opened the door for Carlos Sainz to climb to second place on the final lap of the sprint. These could be defining corners. He's got to hug that inside line, and he knew what was coming, and Charles Leclerc had to basically park up in avoiding action.
This was just Carlos catching Lando out. He just made him look in his mirror late in the brake zone. He faded to the left without really enough momentum to make the move, but Lando just lost attention a little bit And then there was this moment here in the 15.
Moving under braking.
Whoa! Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think he stayed exactly on line. He stayed where he needed to.
These have been strange days for Max Verstappen. He's been in damage limitation mode for so much this season. Say goodbye to that and say hello to him returning to the front of the field. Max Verstappen wins another sprint race in Formula One. Carlos Sainz took second place on the last lap, and Lando Norris held on to third.
Great job, Max. Nice last lap, well controlled. Focus on tomorrow.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. That was much better. Good race.
Well done, Max. Very controlled race. Well done, mate.
And a triumph for Max Verstappen after waiting a long time for it. Back on top, P1 for Max, sweeping all of the sprint races so far this year in Formula One and enlarging his championship lead by 2 points over Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz a fine fighting second. Norris completing the top three. It is time to look to the lights. We're underway and sprinting to turn number one. Oscar Piastri gets the launch he needs. Can Max Verstappen put any pressure on Lando Norris? Not at this stage. McLaren 1-2 as we drop down the center S's. Piastri with the advantage. Charles Leclerc hanging on to third place. The top four in the order that they left the grid as we make our way through turn number three and the cars get up to speed. It's a dream getaway for the two McLarens. Exactly what they needed. And how aggressive will Verstappen go up against Charles Leclerc? It's 1 point bonus if he can get past a McLaren 1-2 with Piastri holding the way at the moment as we begin lap 1 of 24. It's Piastri, then Norris, then Leclerc, then Verstappen, then Sainz. So an even start between the two McLarens. Piastri chopping across, and it's line astern stuff down to turn number one. Russell with a poor getaway left him vulnerable to Gasly, and a lock-up for Max Verstappen. One McLaren is catching, one Red Bull is catching the Ferrari. Let's see if Max Verstappen can use that DRS to make the move and improve up to third. How aggressive will Charles Leclerc go into the braking zone? Driver's eye view as we make our way into the first two corners of the racetrack. Still going to have a chance on the way down to four.
That's what's so great about this track, Alex, is it gives you these multiple opportunities. Max going to have DRS back down into turn four. Is Norris getting closer? But here he goes, looks down the inside, not quite close enough.
Oh, it's a lunge, but it's a lunge that he knows he can't afford to rip off a front wing or a wheel. If he does so, Lando Norris would be in a great position to gain 8 points on him in the Drivers' World Championship. Haas versus Haas, late lunge, chance, converted there. That was very, very tight stuff between the two. Haas is ahead, and Behrman manages to get by under pressure from Sergio Perez, and Perez now is chasing Hulkenberg as the 19-year-old shows why he's got a full-time drive next year, and Perez makes it 2 positions lost in a couple of corners for Nico Hulkenberg. That was synchronized stuff between the two Haases into turn one. Further back, this is Sergio Perez battling Liam Lawson, and we knew it was going to be an interesting one. Lock up from Perez, let Lawson back through, and that's how he is still in 8th position. And we are focusing on Charles Leclerc dropping back into the clutches of Max Verstappen. Best chance by a mile for the World Championship leader to finally make that pass for 3rd position. Charles Leclerc hugs the inside, but Max Verstappen powers through. And the World Championship leader minimises the damage. Next car up the road, the only driver who is close to him in the battle to take his crown.
Perez looking for it.
Bringing the noise, bringing the overtake, and bringing the crowd to their feet outside our commentary box window. Sergio Perez up 5 places now and past Liam Lawson.
That's okay, Nico, we need to stop the car.
That is the Haas stopping. And where has he stopped? Because it could be an intervention from a virtual safety car or a full safety car. Hulkenberg has come to a halt outside of turn number 10. Lewis Hamilton is to the inside of the Haas of Oliver Behrman. 2 passes in 2 laps, and Lando Norris is the driver, currently a second back from Oscar Piastri. But will he get an opportunity if race control have to intervene and neutralise the race? Hamilton climbs to P11. And it's a yellow flag at the moment on lap 21 and 24, and still McLaren run with Oscar Piastri in the lead. Lando Norris in second place. Max Verstappen out of DRS range, but not by much, by 1.4 seconds. He's 0.2 of a second away now under braking into turn number 1, and the yellow flag is still a yellow flag. If that gets upgraded to a greater intervention, McLaren will rue swapping, and they will not take that risk. Immediately, McLaren give the call to Oscar Piastri to prioritise the highest McLaren driver in the Drivers' World Championship, and after all of the speculation, all of the debate, Piastri plays the team game and Lando Norris leads. The virtual safety car is out. It is now deployed, and McLaren took the risk. McLaren get away with it. It's all about how you respond to the green flag waving once again in Sao Paulo, and that looks like a good anticipation of it for Max Verstappen, who's pulling out of the slipstream, going to the inside, and he did not have the run. Piastri picked his braking point perfectly.
I'm not sure if the green flag that we saw on the pylon is exactly timed to what the drivers saw, because if so, Max was trying to anticipate it, and it was just a fraction of a second too late. He had to back out of it. Either way, they hold station, top 3 positions unchanged.
Well, Verstappen was lining it up and then waiting to see whether there was a chance, and he took no risks. No point in getting a penalty, no point in having time added on. Charles Leclerc is within 5 seconds of the driver that he is behind. My word, there was a lot to talk about there. Not all of it motor racing, but McLaren in the end will get the result that they wanted. It's a 1-2 with Lando Norris at the front of the field. The crowd will cheer him home. For the first time in Formula One, Lando Norris wins a sprint race. He takes the checkered flag to make it a McLaren 1-2. Piastri finds himself in second place, having responded to that team order, and it's a 2-point swing towards Norris in the Drivers' World Championship. It's a hugely significant moment in the Constructors' Championship because McLaren have outscored Red Bull and Ferrari with both cars. Lando Norris, with help from teammate Oscar Piastri, taking his first win in the sprint format. Max Verstappen with a good pass on Charles Leclerc to relegate the Monegasque driver down to 4th. And it will be time to look to the lights because Formula One is about to go racing again. The final sprint race of the season is underway, and it's a good launch off the line for our pole sitter. Lando Norris got the launch that he needs. Can Oscar Piastri put pressure on George Russell for P2? The answer to that is not into the corner, maybe on the outside. It's Lando Norris who finds himself with the lead, and Oscar Piastri who roars by to take second place. A nice start for both McLarens, who are 1 and 2 at the moment. Russell drops down to 3rd. Sainz hangs on to 4th, but it's a climb for Lewis Hamilton. Despondent yesterday. He is on the attack today. He's moved up 2 places to 5th as Norris leads Piastri on lap number 1 of 19.
And a lesser spotted Verstappen going a little bit backwards at the start. Hulkenberg's managed to jump him, but really feisty stuff there from Oscar Piastri, who you just sensed, felt that he let it slip the pole position yesterday. Didn't quite get his lap together, but he's got his start together.
This is on board with Max Verstappen in 9th position.
He's offline, and the other thing with the wind is it's blowing more sand onto the track, and no one's been on that part of the racetrack so far.
Well, oversteer an understatement.
Quickly see what happened to Checo then. Green light.
So you've got to wait for all the cars to go past before you get the green light.
Wow, he's like pulling away as if he had a dozen eggs in the back of the car.
This is what it looked like on board for Franco Colapinto. There you go, there's the green light. Thinks about doing it on the outside, does so on the outside.
That is brilliant. Brilliant instinctive stuff from Colapinto.
Big lap coming up now for Oscar Piastri. Can he get inside DRS range? He's not doing this out of choice, really. McLaren happy with the position that they're in, gaining points, but Russell's gaining as well, and that is a bold look to the inside. Can he force Piastri off the racing line? It was a mere look last time. This lap around, far more intent from Russell.
Just turn into me.
Here's the lunge down the inside. Looks like he's got clean racetrack.
Ooh.
And yeah, that actually does give you another perspective on it. You can understand why George was saying, well, hold on a minute, he cut across my bow. And that's exactly what happened with him in the Grand Prix last year with Lewis Hamilton, who then went into the gravel.
Jolene's wincing, seeing how close Oscar's getting to the front of the field. Here's a pass from Max Verstappen to the inside of Pierre Gasly, and Verstappen, first time he's lost positions in any race all year, but he's just gained a place there. Here's an opportunity for the Ferrari in 6th position to turn it into 5th to the inside. The 2 future teammates nearly banging wheels. And Charles Leclerc's looking for 5th place, but Lewis Hamilton doesn't want to give it up yet. And Hamilton versus Leclerc is resuming next year, but is that a preview of what's to come? Because Hamilton takes it back, or can he? No, sweeping around the outside to finally claim 5th place. Well, if that's a sign of things to come, bring it on.
Let's have another look. Big slipstream for Leclerc. This is the closest he was. Went down the inside. The thing is with this first corner, it encourages you to hold it round the outside. Lewis gave Charles plenty of space. It wasn't quite like the Piastri-Russell moment. And then he has the inside for turn 2, at which point Leclerc was very aggressive at holding it round the outside. And they were really respectful with each other, actually.
George Russell is going to have another lunge.
On board with the driver currently in 3rd. Will he be given a car's width? Aggressive defence from Oscar Piastri. We saw it from the nose cam. Piastri still in 2nd place, but he's lost that DRS and Russell is on the charge.
Mate, that was late. Twice now.
In fairness, that was quite a late reaction move. Not enough to warrant a penalty, but he was definitely watching the mirrors.
It will be back-to-back sprint victories as Lando Norris comes tight out of the final line, comes across the line, and Oscar Piastri takes the sprint win. At the very end, Oscar Piastri goes past Lando Norris, and the McLaren swap on the 19th and final lap on the last corner. Piastri beats Norris across the line by 1/10 of a second, and there was a twist in the tail. Back-to-back sprint wins in Qatar for Oscar Piastri. This is the moment where it was decided.
We finish in this order. Finish in this order, we're happy.
So Norris was told by Will Joseph to finish in the order, but he never wanted team orders this year, and he felt the need to repay the favour from Sao Paulo. Norris taking the choice on his own to overrule the team and to give back the win that Piastri handed to him in Sao Paulo at the next sprint race here in Qatar.
Yeah, thank you for the teamwork. Much appreciated, and great load of points, so thanks everybody.
Piastri won't mind, it's a win. Norris, I don't think, will be too cut up that he's lost that one either. It's just a strange way to end it. And it's complicated as well, because trying to execute that, the top 4 finished within 4/10 of a second.
You don't get many races settled by 1/10 of a second. This season's had everything, including McLaren swapping at the final corner of the last lap. It means that Oscar Piastri takes his 2nd sprint win, and they have both come here in Qatar. Lando Norris is in 2nd place, George Russell in 3rd, and McLaren crucial points gained over Ferrari, who finished 4th and 5th with Sainz and Leclerc.